Good evening and welcome to Primetime News on TV1 for the Newsfirst team. I am Mazra San. Let's start off with a look at your headlines for tonight.
SLFP to restructure while supporting the government, says former President Maithripala Sirisena while calling upon the Mahasangha. 55,000 litres of substandard coconut oil discovered in Dankotua. How did the consignments that were under the custody of Sri Lanka Customs get to Dankotua? The opposition questions. Traffic constable who assaulted a driver in Pannipitia remanded. A draft bill introduced to amend the provincial council election system. Bonus seats to be increased. China donates 600,000 doses of COVID-19 vaccines to Sri Lanka. Chinese nationals to receive the jab in the first phase.
Main sponsor.
To our top story now, the Sri Lanka Freedom Party engaged in religious observances as it embarked on an island-wide restructuring program today.
Former President Maithripala Sirisena and the Sri Lanka Freedom Party's newly appointed committee paid their respects to the sacred tooth relic today. The group paid floral tributes to the memorial of Veera Kappatipola at the Sri Dalada Maligava and then called on the Mahanayak of the Askati chapter of the Siam sect, Most Venerable Varkagoda Sri Gnanaratana Thero.
As a recognized political party, the Sri Lanka Freedom Party must reveal its stance to the people. We will extend our fullest support to the President to guide the country towards prosperity by protecting the Buddhist religious culture and attending to the needs of other religions as well.
The group, including former President Maithripala Sirisena, then called on the Mahanayak of the Malwatu chapter of the Siam sect, Most Venerable Tibbatuwe Sri Sumangala Thero. The former president and his team of SLFP members then visited the Rajopavanarame temple in Gattambe.
The government was appointed amid several aspirations. Have they been fulfilled? They have been making mistakes on several fronts, but the entire country has not been steeped in a crisis. Your government has the strength and courage to rectify this situation. All of you can think wisely as well. Some people lack intelligence when being elected to power. All of you must make the government work.
The SLFP then convened a media briefing in Kandy today.
We expressed our support to the government. We cannot remain silent as a party. Hundreds of thousands of people are watching us. We won 14 seats. For the first time, Angajan Ramanathan was elected to parliament from the north under the banner of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. But 14 seats is not the lowest for us. We only clinched 8 seats in 1977. Our future goal is to establish a Sri Lanka Freedom Party government. We must find progressive parties for this purpose. We will restructure the party in every nook and corner of the country.
The newly appointed ambassador of the Socialist Republic of Vietnam to Sri Lanka, Ho Thi Than Truc, presented her credentials to President Gotabaya Rajapaksa this morning. President Rajapaksa and the new Vietnamese ambassador had exchanged views on the current status of bilateral relations and the development of future cooperation between the two countries thereafter. The President has also invited Vietnam to explore and take advantage of the investment opportunities in Sri Lankan economy, pointing out that the trade and tourism industries between the two countries could be further developed. The decision on holding the overdue provincial council election continues to be up in the air. The matter had been taken up yesterday during the cabinet meeting, and Minister Uday Gammampila revealed details of the discussion thereafter.
A proposal was presented to the cabinet yesterday to amend the existing method of holding provincial council elections. It has been recommended to increase the number of bonus seats provided to the party with the highest votes in the province by 2 seats for each district. Moreover, the Western province, which has 3 districts, will be provided with 6 bonus seats instead of 2. The North Central province with 2 districts will be awarded 4 bonus seats instead of 2. Through this, a more stable provincial council will be established. Furthermore, it has been recommended recommended to select 70% of the representatives from the first-past-the-post system and 30% through the proportional representation method. It was also recommended to nominate 3 candidates from each party for every division. A number of ministers later expressed their opinions on that particular matter, and the president decided to reach a final decision on it at the party leaders' meeting, since most of the parties are not represented in cabinet.
අවසාන තීන්දුව ගනිමු කියලා ජනාධිපතිතුමා යෝජනා කළා.
සභා මැතිවරණයේ කවදාද පැවැත්වෙන්නේ කියලා ඔබතුමාලා තීරණයක් ගත්තාද ඇමතුමා?
පළාත් සභා මැතිවරණය පවත්වන්නේ
It will be held once the new Provincial Council Act is passed. No discussion was held regarding the dates on which it will be held. The cabinet was concerned that the law on the provincial councils must be amended.
වෙනස් විය යුතුයි කියන කාරණය සම්බන්ධයෙන් තමයි අමාත්‍ය මණ්ඩල සාකච්ඡාව සිදු වුණේ.
During a cabinet media briefing today, journalists questioned on the Colombo Port City Economic Commission bill that was published recently.
සෑහෙන බදුසහන ප්‍රමාණයක් දීලා තියෙනවා මේ පෝට් සිටි එකට. විශේෂයෙන්ම අන 57කින් පමණ උඟ නිදහස් කරලා තියෙනවා. මේ තරම් බදුසහන දීලා අපිට මොන වගේ ආදායමක්ද උපයන්න පුළුවන්කම තියෙන මේ පෝට් සිටි එකේ.
ශ්‍රී ලංකා ඉදිරි ගමනට අතිශයම
We hope that the project would provide the infrastructure required for Sri Lanka's way forward. That is why we have offered several tax concessions to attract investments for projects. We have received approval to grant these concessions under the Strategic Development Projects Act that was published in 2008.
බාදීමට නීතිමය හිමිකම තිබෙනවා.
මේ තත්ත්වයට සමග හොංකොං හා මැකාව් වගේ කැසිනෝ හබ් එකක් බවට පත් වෙන්න පුළුවන් ද මේ පෝට් සිටි එක.
කිසිසේත්ම නැහැ.
We don't have any intention of that sort. The government doesn't intend to generate revenue at the cost of damaging the country's culture and heritage.
තාවක් ආණ්ඩුවට නැහැ.
මේක අපේ සොයරිත්වයට තර්ජනයක් කියලා දකින්න නැද්ද? මොකද මේක පාලනය කරන්නේ කුමන කණ්ඩායමක්?
කිසිසේත්ම නැහැ. ඒක
No, that won't happen. It's a wrong conception. The port city will fall under the purview of the Colombo Port City Economic Commission that will be appointed by the President. The members of the Colombo Port City Economic Commission will be appointed by the President, who has won the mandate of the people. When the Greater Colombo Economic Commission was established in 1978, certain plots of land were brought under its purview. We are targeting investments to be made in this zone. It was Upali Vijayawardena, a reputable businessman, who was the first chairman of the Greater Colombo Economic Commission. In this manner, the Colombo Port City will be managed by a commission comprising reputable businessmen.
පාලක මණ්ඩලයක් විසින් මේ කොළඹ වරාය නගරයේ පාලනය සිද්ධ කරනවා.
This bill draws parallels between the one in Puerto Rico and America, where two systems are in place. Those who acted as custodians of territorial integrity have now introduced a confederal system. There are many provisions in Sri Lanka's laws to provide tax relief if need be, even for businesses named as those of strategic importance. This is an attempt to form a country within a country. There is also a risk of black money which was stored in countries such as Seychelles being funneled here and stored at the port city. The judicature must determine whether this gazette breaches Article 76 of the Constitution, which empowers the Parliament to formulate laws, Article 157 concerning international agreements and other laws. The Supreme Court should deliver the final determination. It becomes increasingly evident when you read the first page of the Gazette itself that this is merely an attempt to create a separate nation. The fundamental legal provisions have been introduced in order to bypass key laws of the country entirely and establish the special economic zone. That is serious. We know the Greater Colombo Economic Commission was also established to establish special economic zones similar to this. However, that commission was not empowered to bypass the laws of the land. But this gazette has changed all the laws concerning financial laws, banking laws and so on. Sri Lanka is not only the 65,610 square kilometers. We possess a sea area several times the size of our country. As a government and as a party, we have incorporated this matter into our development process. That is why clauses are included regarding tax exemptions. If we do not offer anything, we will not receive anything. When the VAT is removed, it is claimed that the state has lost out, but it is in fact beneficial to the people. Moreover, greater circulation of money will occur. This is a similar matter. We do not agree with casinos. We are unaware of any comprehensive details on this matter as of now. We can discuss these matters in the future. What is wrong with tax exemptions if an investment is coming in? I have not read the draft bill in its entirety, but casinos exist in Sri Lanka at present. Who introduced casinos? The UNP did. 600,000 doses of the COVID-19 vaccine gifted by China to Sri Lanka were handed over to Dr. Palitha Kohona, the ambassador of Sri Lanka to China today. The office of the Sri Lankan ambassador to China in a statement said Cheng Song, Deputy Director General of the Asia Department, Ministry of Foreign Affairs of China, handed over the vaccines. The consignment had been gifted in response to a written request made by President Gotabaya Rajapaksa to the Chinese President Xi Jinping. The National Medicines Regulatory Authority announced that it granted permission to accept the Sinopharm COVID-19 vaccines from China. However, the association medical specialists in a statement said an independent panel of experts consisting of eminent medical specialists appointed by the NMRA to review all submissions related to candidate vaccines concluded that the Sinopharm vaccine should not be used in Sri Lanka under the present circumstances. The independent panel of experts had made this clear in their report on the 17th of March 2021 after reviewing all the data made available by the manufacturer of Sinopharm.
The first consignment of the Chinese vaccine will be administered to the Chinese citizens in Sri Lanka. There is a delay in the World Health Organization approving the vaccine because the relevant clinical research needs to be translated from Cantonese to English. Once approval is granted, the other parts of the society can also be inoculated.
The police seized 2 bowsers reportedly containing substandard oil last evening. According to the police, the bowsers had been transporting oil containing cancer-causing elements.
The Dankotua police had recovered the bowsers of substandard oil after launching an operation yesterday based on a tip-off received by their emergency unit. The 2 bowsers containing 55,000 litres of substandard coconut oil belongs to Edirisinghe Edible Oil Private Limited. According to the police, investigations have shown that the oil was part of the consignment which was ordered to be re-exported as it was below standard. The Department of Customs has launched further investigations into the matter. Authorities have instructed Ali Brothers Private Limited, Edirisinghe Edible Oil Private Limited and Katana Refineries Private Limited to return 13 containers of oil as it was found to contain cancer-causing elements. Accordingly, the question arises as to how the consignments that should be under the purview of the Customs Department had been cleared. The Director General of the Customs Department had said that the consignments of oil had been released to the storages of importers due to insufficient space in the warehouses.
We tested samples from these consignments. Since we don't have sufficient space to store these stocks in the customs warehouse, we have been sending these consignments to the storage facilities of importers during the last 2 or 3 decades. However, it is done under certain conditions. I am not trying to imply that this does not leave any room for irregularities to take place, but they know the repercussions that they will have to face if they engage in such acts. Our officers inspect the consignments and stocks that have been released to the warehouses of these importers. We are willing to enforce the law if any irregularities have taken place.
As far as we know, these consignments had been released to the warehouses of the exporters after they had settled the relevant payments. Once the payments are made, they can release their stocks to the market. But the problem is, when the existing stocks are released from the warehouses of importers, there is a possibility that new stocks would be brought into the country. Why did they allow these stocks to be transferred to the storage facilities of importers? If they were stored in the bonded warehouse of the Customs Department, then customs officials have access to that facility. Therefore, stocks cannot be cleared without a customs officer. If a racket has taken place, then the system allows the person involved in the racket to rectify the situation.
The Director General of the Customs Department has said that there is no information on whether these containers had been released. Therefore, an inquiry is being carried out into this matter. The Customs Director General has suspended releasing these containers. They have been sealed to prevent the stocks from being released to the market. As far as we know, an oil container with harmful elements has not been seized. Whether it's a bowser or a container, an investigation has been launched based on a tip-off provided by an informant. It has not been confirmed whether they contain substandard oil.
ආදායමක් සිද්ධ වෙලා නැහැ.
If these stocks had been released to the market and if the people had consumed them, it would be reflected if any diseases emerge in the future. A fine can be imposed for importing substandard stocks of oil. But the problem is that action cannot be taken any further apart from imposing a fine. Therefore, proper action is not being taken. This allows any racketeer to bring down harmful consignments to the country and provide them to the people.
The consignment of oil had reached the country on the 4th of March. It was the health sector, the ITI Institute and the Sri Lanka Standards Institute that intervened to test these samples. From 2015 to 2019, tests were not carried out on imported products. Attention was not paid to the environment. No one knows what happened to the country afterwards. We don't know whether we had consumed harmful substances or not. The people might be beginning to feel the side effects of consuming such products from 2015 to 2019. The director of the Apeksha Hospital, Dr. Vasanta, has said that 25,000 cancer patients are identified annually. This amounts to nearly 70 patients daily.
We will be back after this short commercial break. Stay tuned.
Struggling to find reliable plumbers, electricians, gardeners and other service providers? Bellboys got you covered.
Did you undergo physical abuse at the Kelaniya University?
Yes, mentally and physically. I'm an exceptional person in this country. I achieved my goals in life, but I lost a great father. Certain things I can't say in media. They started mentally putting me down. I couldn't bear it. I was going to jump from a building. We can't survive without trees. Trees are also breathing. Because of that, we are able to breathe. Being lonely is sad. I don't like to be on television. It's a lovely feeling to be somebody else. We can talk about an episode of problems what cinema goes through at the moment.
Is art in Sri Lanka politicized?
Welcome back to the news. A heated situation arose at the Gampaha District Development Coordination Committee meeting when the matter of the Nigambu Lagoon Development Project was taken up at the meeting.
Speaking at the meeting, the Gampaha District Forest Officer Devani Jayatilaka said that reclamation of land carried out has not been stopped as of yet. She said, against such a backdrop, the development process carried out at the Nigambu Lagoon cannot be agreed with. We very clearly outlined two different incidents here. One has gone to the court. We do not like to poke our fingers into that. Therefore, as a minister, I speak to you on behalf of our fishing communities. The fishing community of 3,000 to 4,000 families are suffering at the moment because of the dilapidated state of the lagoon. We also want to safeguard wildlife. My ministry has planted 500,000 trees.
Former MP Samantha Vidyaratna elaborated on the environmental destruction taking place in the Rambakan Oya at present.
I saw State Minister Vimalavira saying that no tree has been uprooted in Pollabadda and challenging to proving him wrong. I will ask him to come and see for himself. Not just one, but thousands of trees have been felled. It is not us making that claim. We possess the documents published by the Ministry of Environment. They have conceded that the forest has been destroyed. There is no law.
දුක් මහන්සි වෙලා මේවා හිටපු නිකිනේ ඉඳන් වතුර දාලා මේවා බලදාරි බාල අපිට සාධාරණයක් ඉෂ්ට කරන්න මෙච්චර විනාශයක් මේ වලිය සතුන්ගෙන් අපිට වෙන හානි බලන්න සම්පූර්ණම බොඩ ඇදලා කාලා තියෙන ප්‍රයෝජනයක් ගන්න බෑ මේ ගස් මේ සම්පූර්ණම බොඩ මේ ඇදලා විනාශ කරලා තියෙන්නේ.
These are the lamentations of those in rural Sri Lanka who continue to suffer at the hands of the unending human-elephant conflict. The woes of those in Dunumadalawa Mahavilachia have been ongoing for numerous years. Elephants that encroached into the village last night had laid waste to a coconut cultivation spanning 2 acres. Although wild elephant encroachments are rife in this area, the voices of concern from the area residents continue to ring hollow in the ears of responsible authorities.
උසස් නිලධාරීන් ඉගෙනගත්තු මිනිස්සු ඔය පුටුවල ඉඳගෙන වැඩ කරනවා නේද? ඒ මිනිස්සු මේ පොඩි මිනිස්සුන්ගේ දේවල් හොයලා බලන්න එපා. පැල දෙනවා පැල ආලියා කනවා. පැල දෙනවා පැල ආලියා කනවා.
Farmers of the area allege that the electric fence erected to keep away elephants is below standard and does not serve its purpose. They continue to remain hopeful for the timely intervention of officials to resolve their woes.
කොළඹ නාගරික කලාපයේ ආවරණය වන කණු මත ඉදිවන
4 elevated railway tracks will be constructed within Colombo city limits as a public-private partnership project. This project will take place covering this Colombo
11th March 2020. Titanium Sands Limited, an Australian entity, gains total control of a high-profile mineral exploration project in Mannar, obtaining 9 licenses in the process. 6th May 2020. A gargantuan quantity of nearly 265 million tons of minerals discovered from the exploration site. Deposit site comprises highly sought-after minerals such as ilmenite, rutile and zircon that are vital materials in the aircraft and pigment industries. 31st of July 2020, Titanium Sands Limited files documents with the Australian Stock Exchange containing details of a plan to export the extracted minerals to China, Japan, India and the UAE. January 2021, an investigation by Newsfirst reveals explosive evidence of the license holders failing to inform the authorities on an ownership change to the Australian entity Titanium Sands Limited. Will the mineral deposits in Mannar, a unique resource of our nation, be ceded to a dubious corporation with minimum oversight from Sri Lankan authorities?
Views were expressed during a cabinet media briefing on a new project that is to be implemented in Colombo.
කොළඹ නාගරික කලාපයේ ආවරණය වන කණු මත ඉදිවන
4 elevated railway tracks will be constructed within Colombo city limits as a public-private partnership project. This project will take place covering this Colombo city limits as a solution to the traffic congestion. The 4 elevated railway tracks will be named Rakta, Haritha, Neela and Dam. The Rakta railway track will run for 42 kilometers from Ragama to Kottawa through Peta. The Haritha railway track will run for 28 kilometers from Moratuwa to Kalaniya through Narahempita. At the same time, the Neela railway track will extend up to 23 kilometers from Kottawa to Hunupitiya through Isurupaya. The 4th railway track, Dam, will run from the port city to Aturugiriya through Boralda. We hope to launch this as a public-private partnership project mainly involving the funds of the private sector.
රාජ්‍ය හවුල් ව්‍යාපාරයක් ලෙස තමයි ආරම්භ කරන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ.
A police constable who was seen assaulting a lorry driver in Panipitiya has been remanded until the 5th of April. This was after producing him before the Nugeguru Chief Magistrates Court today.
The lorry driver who was assaulted by the police constable had knocked down the officer in charge of the Maharagama Police Motor Traffic Division recently. Nugeguru Chief Magistrate Prasanna Alvis ordered the driver involved in the accident to be released on a surety bail worth 100,000 rupees. The Chief Magistrate also issued an order to suspend the driver's driving license as well. During today's hearing, the court also ordered the Department of Prisons to submit a mental status report of the constable involved in the assault. The police constable has been suspended from his duties. The video of last morning's incident that made the rounds on social media showed another individual involved in assaulting the driver. Who is this individual? Shouldn't the law be enforced against him as well?
In recent months, Newsfirst revealed several irregularities involved in the past and present administrations of Sri Lanka cricket with regard to several transactions. And tonight, we make one such revelation.
An audit carried out by the National Audit Office revealed several irregularities that had taken place as Sri Lanka cricket handed over broadcasting rights between 2013 and 2020. Bids for handing over broadcasting rights had been called on the 14th of February 2013, while the bids of 4 entities had been opened on the 16th of March that year. According to a recent audit on Sri Lanka cricket, steps had been taken to alter the value of the bids after the bids had been opened following the closing date. Nimbus Communications Limited, that submitted a bid of $52,506,000 had later reduced the value of their bid to $40,615,178. The audit had revealed that the Executive Committee of Sri Lanka Cricket on the 13th of June 2013 had decided to hand over the bid to Taj Television Private Limited. Sri Lanka Cricket had told the auditors that it had signed the agreement for handing over broadcasting rights in Colombo on the 18th of December 2013, while Taj Television Private Limited had signed it in Dubai on the 14th of January 2014. The audit notes that it had taken 27 days for Sri Lanka Cricket to send the agreement to Taj Television Private Limited after signing the document. In his observations, the Auditor General has raised concerns regarding the manner in which the agreement had been signed by backdating it. It was Nishantha Ranatunga who had served as the Secretary of Sri Lanka Cricket when the agreement had been signed. The audit has revealed several irregularities concerning Sri Lanka Cricket during the process of handing over broadcasting rights. News First will reveal more details on this matter in the coming days.
And that's a wrap of this edition of Primetime News. For the News First team, I am Azra Hassan with our sign language interpreter Brian D. Cruz joining us via Zoom. Thank you very much for watching. Take care and good night.